Hello, and welcome to another episode of the podcast where we will reassure you that football is fixable. Alright, chaps, how are we?
No, not great, really.
No?
Yeah, no, it's been a terrible week. Oh, sorry, was I not meant to answer your question?
We're breaking the etiquette again. So
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
that's
Oh,
not what you do, Seth. We learned this
No.
last week.
That is a good
Last
point.
week
Yeah,
we
sorry,
learned-
lads.
Yep.
It's not very
So,
British of you, Seth.
If you could listen.
No.
Now, this isn't good. This isn't very good for the podcast if not even our own members are going to learn from what we're talking about. Then no one is, are they?
And the
So
thing, I
let's-
brought it up as well, so I'm unlearning.
Yeah,
De-learning?
Yeah.
Unlearning.
you're a
Unlearning.
hypocrite,
Yeah.
is what you are.
Oh,
And I don't
wow.
like it.
Blimey. Well, I'll bring up another
Podcast.
couple of British etiquettes. Etiquettes? Etiquette. Is it plural?
Etiquette.
Etiquette. Eticode. I like it. So, the first one, I think we can all relate to this. Say you meet someone and you don't know their name, so you introduce each other, and then you
Yep.
instantly forget their name.
Yes.
And then the next time you see them, you can't ask their name again. You've got to try and
Hello,
live the
you.
rest of your life just saying, buddy, pal,
Yeah.
you there.
Hey, you're right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just do
you know,
that.
what's,
This happens at work all the time. I don't know
yeah.
half the people
Oh.
I work with. Yeah. You've had long conversations. You even
Yeah.
went out at like meals and things like that.
I actually had, when I went to work, I walked, it was like 10 minutes from my where I lived, and I always, every single day, passed this one guy going the other way, and eventually we started like nodding to each other.
I remember
and
that
then,
story.
Yeah, and then we
Cool.
started saying hi and stuff. And one day he stopped me and was like, look, we've gone past each other every day. What's your name? I'm so-and-so. What's yours? I was like, oh, I'm Cess. And we had a little chat. And then the next day, walked past each other and he went, all right, Cess. And I went, hey, dude.
Wow.
Every single day I had to go past him trying to think of a different way to say hi to him until eventually I thought, I'm just going to walk a different route from now on.
You changed your whole
I
routine.
actually changed route because I just could not remember his name.
Now that is British.
Like, exactly, right?
Football podcast, chaps. Just saying.
Oh, yeah.
And he follows this podcast, so now we'll have one less listener next week.
Yeah, and then we'll know who that is. Well, not his name, but, you know.
Right, can we get on with the football, lads?
Yeah, good idea.
Something quite worrying this week, lads. Did you see... So following the United-Arsenal game last week, Dan, you remember I put it in our text, in our official podcast chat, the issue with the wall. So it got quite a bit of coverage across the media. Where,
Just the 11-yard wall.
yeah, the
Is this,
11.2
sorry,
yards
is this,
that Bruno Fernandes
is this
scored from.
It's another excuse as to why you didn't win a game.
Well, possibly. I mean, it does obviously affect that distance, that extra yard, 1.2.
Explain it to the people, James. Come on.
Right. So a wall is supposed to be 10 yards, right? Give or take. So you count 10 steps. We always, from school, we've been doing this. It's very simple. It's easy to do. We're not measuring it to the exact centimetre, but at the same time, it's around 10 yards.
Yeah.
It was clear, even on the TV coverage, to the point where they discussed it in the panel afterwards. It was on the Sky Sports News. It was on ESPN were talking about it. You've got TNT Sports. Match of the Day talked about it. And they measured it as 11.2 because it looked long. That looks a bit
Like
longer
an extra
than,
step longer.
so yeah, it's an extra step and a bit or something. But that made a difference because it was a nice strike, good free kick and everything, but it was just like just missed the head of the wall when they jumped. When you think if that wall was that yard closer, that would have blocked it. So actually it would have had an impact there. But that's not why I'm bringing it up though. The worrying thing, something even more worrying than that, is it's two things even more worrying than that. Arsenal ended up not beating United, which is quite embarrassing.
That's not worrying at all. That's hilarious.
But the other side to it is Sky then reenacted the whole scene in terms of how to walk 10 yards and stuff like that. They got, they do that Ref Watch show
Yeah.
with Dermot Gallagher. So he's an old retired referee, Premier League ref. And he's meant to interpret all the events of the weekend. So during the week, you'll see Ref Watch on Sky. And he'll talk through, was that a yellow card? Was that a red card? Do you agree with that? Was that offside or whatever? And this one, he says, yeah, it's not difficult at all. They should be able to get 10 yards and all that kind of thing. But you could see in the studio, and this has been going viral around, TikTok and things like that. They actually put black marks on the floor. So
Yeah.
they faked the whole thing. They had
It's
a couple
horrendous,
of
yeah.
they had a couple of pundits on there with them with a tape measure saying, "Yeah, I'm going to do a little experiment and see if you can measure 10 yards."
Yeah.
You've got it absolutely spot on, Dermot. Oh, that was amazing. And now
And not only was it measured out, the lady that was holding the tape measure on one side, she didn't even start from where Dermot Gallagher started.
Yeah, where he took his first step.
Yeah, so she would have been about 2 steps away.
Yeah.
And which means that already those 11 steps apparently that he took.
Well, it was actually, you counted, didn't you? It was
Yeah.
11 and a bit, to be
It was
honest.
12, really.
It was actually 12, yeah.
But he was adamant it was 11 steps. But yeah, she wouldn't have even counted those 11 or 12 steps or whatever. It's just everything about it was
It
wrong.
was
wasn't
it just makes you feel really I mean, the tape measure she was holding wasn't properly stretched. There was slack
Yeah.
in it, so it was
Wasn't
bending
taut.
down. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And you could see Dermot Gallagher, if you go and watch it back, which it's our jobs to analyse these things, so we've had
course.
to, you see black marks on the floor, both where he starts and where he eventually stops. So he manipulates his own footing
but-
to make sure
Yeah.
he starts and finishes
But
on
that
those black
show,
marks.
all that show is though is it's a total nonsense show because all he ever does is like support the refereeing decision in some way.
He does,
and
to be
like
fair.
that, like that show is pretty much just PR for PGMOL. That's really
But that's
all
the
it is.
worrying thing, though, because there's we've said before, one of the reasons why we started this podcast is because there's so many people out there saying stupid things about football, and we kind of needed to fix that.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you actually have a program on Sky,
The
with an
mainstream media, isn't it?
referee, that's just
And
so
we're meant to be
bad.
believing this. They're meant to be. So Sky
Yeah,
Sports
it's
News is
shocking.
meant to be, presenting in a unbiased kind of. It's
Yeah.
just giving us the facts and that kind of stuff. They try, in more recent years, it's almost gone past the postmodern era where they sit on sofas and they offer more opinions these days than perhaps the old-fashioned way of just being completely factual. They want to
Yeah.
make it more relatable, but to the point where now that's really worrying because we're meant to take Dermot Gallagher's expert knowledge, interpreting all these rules in was that the right decision, that kind of thing. And he completely joined in on the act. He
Yeah.
acted the whole thing out. It was so false the way that was done. The two pundits that were with him completely acted out the thing as well. Oh, well done, Durham. That's amazing. That was, so all of it is a farce. It all makes it seem so. It just makes me not want to believe or listen to anything from Sky anymore. It's just this is
Yeah.
our mainstream media, and it's a falsehood we're watching. It was all deceit.
It's fake news.
It was literally fake news. Yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, Dan, that I'm absolutely all for mocking Arsenal.
Yeah, 100%.
However,
yeah.
but even I had to admit that was a farce.
So it's been quite an eventful week actually. So in the news this week, loads of stuff going on. We've got Man United. They've announced they're moving to a new stadium.
Oh yeah.
Somehow they're going to fund a £2 billion stadium.
Because they've stopped the free lunches, so they can afford $2 billion.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's out of all the cuts and the redundancies and everything else, you can see what they're putting the money towards.
Yeah.
You
exactly.
excited, Dan? The image looks.
I mean,
how do I not say it? It looks very.
no, I really like it.
Great.
I actually do like the design. No, I do like the design. I like it. It's got like the trident design, isn't it? So it's got the kind of Red Devils
Yeah.
vibe. I think
Does
it's
it?
I like it. But,
It really isn't a trident design. It's just 3 poles. I don't know. It really does look like I'm going to say it. It's like a circus venue, isn't it?
Yes.
I was trying to avoid saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they got plenty of clowns at United, so they'll be at home
Yes.
now, wouldn't they?
Everyone's been making these jokes all week, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, come up with something better.
So it must look like a circus tent then, if everyone's saying
everyone's saying it, yeah. I just don't understand the netting. I'm assuming it's netting.
There was one I liked about the net. There was one that was like, they've built a net around the stadium to catch all of Rasmus Højlund's attempts on goal. I like that
I was
one.
just about to say that joke.
Wow.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Well, it
actually
worked, to
very,
be
very
fair.
good.
Yeah, that's true.
But I
You
mean,
won't
to
lose
be
any
fair,
balls.
the thing is, if the stadium is funded by what we're saving by not feeding people, then the budget can't be colossal. So no wonder it's just made out of paper mache and some I don't know, lollipop sticks.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you cut the funding for the £40,000 for the former players, the veteran players fund as well.
yeah.
So that
And you
goes
sacked
towards
like
it.
100 people. Yeah.
More than that, it was
Yeah.
a different sets of redundancies. The most recent was like 250 or something, 200, 250, something like that.
Blimey.
And that was not the first set of redundancies. So,
Wow.
you can see how it's all being. It's just they've probably
Yeah.
got about £1.9 billion left
yeah.
to find.
the outer ring is supposed to be the largest enclosed public space in the world or something. It's going to be it's going to be colossal, and I like the fact that it's alongside a big like rejuvenation project at the same time. Like there's something being given back to the community there, and that we've made a lot of redundancies, but this could potentially make loads more jobs and really boost the economy up in the north. So I think there is some positive things to be said.
Well, so speaking about stadiums then, guys, today's episode, we're going to be fixing stadiums. What do you think?
From the ground up.
Fixing stadiums from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we can't really do it from the top down.
That's not how you build stadiums.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's get into it, shall we?
Let's do it.
Right, firstly, I've got a massive problem with stadiums. One, Arsenal moved from a great old stadium that was Highbury. We'd been there for 93 years, I think it was, since like the early 1900s. Mm-hmm. You know, we went through the war in that stadium. We won so many trophies and various other things. Just the history and the heritage. I went there. I've been there to watch Arsenal play. I saw Bergkamp score his last ever goal. It was a magical experience. Went down there with my dad. Even he enjoyed it. He's a Chelsea fan. It was, it's one of those old-fashioned stadiums with the four banks, tiers around the stadium.
Yeah, it's like block stadium.
Stadium and all of that. And it was just so, all the tradition. You even had the pillars where you had to sort of lean around at times and stuff like that. But it was just a special place. Also had a tour around it, on when it wasn't a match day, been in changing rooms. This really old kind of in touch with society kind of feel, the community kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And when we moved, not only did it mess up our finances for quite a long time, but it felt that we lost a bit of the club's soul. So I'm really I'm going to approach this episode as I'm not really for these new stadiums. There's been a lot of in the news recently. We've got United, like we mentioned. Yeah. Spurs recently moved to a new stadium. Everton, obviously. Yeah. That's going to be next season, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to ask. That's the main thing. Old Trafford United haven't even started building yet. This is all about a concept. Look at these drawings we've made. We've actually built a stadium.
Yeah, but if I mention Everton in the headline, no one butts an eyelid, do they?
Yeah, that's a good point. We get like three.
Got to mention United and Arsenal, basically.
Yeah.
Liverpool recently done up their stadium.
Rewind a second. No one what's an eyelid, James?
Butts an eyelid? Is that what it's called?
Butts an eyelid?
Butts.
What, just like
no one
butting
butts
an eyelid?
Okay.
No, wow.
What's the phrase? Bat an eyelid.
Bat an eyelid. That's what I said. No one bats an eyelid.
Yeah. Like with a baseball bat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Liverpool recently as well. They've just topped up their top tier, the stadium, to increase their capacity too. So there's a lot of movement towards increasing stadium capacity at the moment. It seems to be a really important thing. Yeah. We're going to get into that. But I just want to put out there, I don't like it.
Well, I'm going to put it out there straight away and say I do like it.
You would?
Yeah. It's progression. You're just living in the past as always. You just all just constantly like, it's about history. It's about my memories.
Heritage memories. Yeah, it was nice back then.
You were even talking about going through the wars. What does that even mean? Like, does that mean like people aren't allowed to leave houses where they went through the war there anymore? No, you can't. You can't move house. You went through the wars in that house.
Remember all the heritage. It means something. It's meaning. It's like the soul. You don't want to leave your soul behind, do you?
The soul wasn't there. The soul is where you take
building.
It. Yeah, exactly.
Like the history of your club is still there. Your history is like it's happened. It's in the past. It's written.
Your
surprises. History doesn't exist in a stadium or a building.
Exactly.
No surprises. Dan sides with Cess. You're the two peas in a
pod.
Sides
with reason. That's
No. Let's just for 1 second. I was actually in your boat for a long time, James, because I didn't want Old Trafford to get knocked down. I didn't want a new stadium. I wanted Old Trafford to be refreshed. But actually, the more I've thought about it and the more time I give to it, the more I think that these buildings that are like 100 years old, they're not fit for purpose anymore.
They're completely outdated now.
And if you think these stadiums were originally built when you didn't even have like chairs in the stadium, everyone went and it was just stands, wasn't it? Yeah. And then obviously, and rightly so, everything's now seated and things like that. But seating and everything is relatively new that was fitted to the stadiums after they originally built. So you're just patching over the top of very old buildings for ages and ages, and to a point where you can't really do it anymore. And at some stage, you've got to because this game we would like to last for a very, very long time in terms of football, and in order for football to continue to last, it needs to keep itself updated.
Well, I suppose the first thing then is to explore why. So there are reasons for clubs needing to build or wanting to build new stadiums. There are actually several reasons. So let's get into that. So firstly, why? Why should they move to a new stadium?
Money.
It's money, isn't it?
Yeah.
More seats,
money is
more
the big
money.
thing.
Yeah, I think also not only is it money, but also it's the way to make money. So with the Spurs Stadium, for example, it's not just football. They have concerts. They have, is it the NFL?
NFL,
isn't it?
yeah.
So, and they have ways to be able to like retract the ground and everything. So actually, they probably make more money outside of football than the ticket sales in football itself. So I think that's what a lot of the newer stadiums are hoping to do, to be able to draw things like, Wembley, for example, has a lot of boxing. And actually, the Spurs ground has boxing now as well,
true,
and that draws a lot of money. So, yeah, I think that's the main reason. Without that, without the whole idea of money, stadiums wouldn't be built, I don't think.
But you see that, I mean, for me, as a football purist, as we know, for football's sake, money shouldn't be driving everything. The reason why football clubs want or need money now is because of the astronomical salaries they're having to pay, obviously the transfer fees. I mean, one key reason they're moving to these stadiums is the PSR rules, isn't it? Whatever,
yeah.
And if anything replaces PSR, obviously they're looking at tweaks and adapting it year on year. But clubs need to be able to finance themselves, not rely on some big oil baron or Abramovich to come and buy your club or whatever. Now clubs need to be sustainable, so it makes economical sense in that way. But that's caused by a factor pulling everything in that direction is the stupid salaries we've already fixed on this show previously.
Yeah.
But I mean that is taking things away from football. That's not a football reason.
I suppose in a less cynical way then, okay, so in a positive way, they're also doing it for the fan bases, because if you think every club's fan base is increased because obviously the population is getting bigger and bigger, so there's more of us. So like the fan bases have increased all these people, so there's higher demand for tickets, and it means that more people are going to be able to go and see these games.
I kind of don't agree with that. For once, I don't agree with Dan.
What?
I'm so sorry.
Seriously, you guys? Yeah. Oh my god, this is big for your relationship.
I know, right? This is big news. I mean, I kind of do and I don't. So I don't necessarily think it's to do with the capacity. Because a lot of these stadiums that are being built, they're not that much bigger. They're not. You would think. I think I've mentioned this before. Stadiums being built, you tend to stay in a stadium for 100 years or something. It's like a once in 100-year experience, isn't it, to have a new stadium? Yeah. And yet, the Everton Stadium, for example, we went from 40 to 50, basically. And I know that's like, wow, you're adding 25%, but that's actually not that much considering if you think, well, they're doing it for capacity, for way more people to come in. Well, 10,000 more isn't that much more.
That's actually, it was all this money on a new, what was it, 800 million?
800 million.
Just for that much more.
That's Yeah, and wow. you think of,
but it's not just for that though. I think as much as I was saying that is a factor, I don't think it is the only factor.
Oh no,
because it is definitely a factor.
I suppose it is a factor in terms of like they want more capacity. But the thing is, I mentioned it before, didn't I? I just don't really understand why, if it's a once in a century situation, why don't you just go all out? Why didn't we build a 70,000 seater? Even with Arsenal going from Highbury to Emirates, at the time I remember thinking like, why isn't it bigger?
So at the time you sort of think, I was the same. It's like, why is it not even bigger?
Yeah,
but it is a sight. I mean, I do appreciate when you go to the Emirates, and it still does feel like, oh wow, look at the size, it's like a Colosseum and that kind of thing. But it loses some of the magic for me. The soul. I'm just going to keep saying it. The soul is not.
You say that, but like take Old Trafford for example, it's ripped to shreds on a weekly basis about how dated it is and about how poor it is. So like you can't be criticising all these older stadiums for being so dated and all this stuff and needing modernising, and then when you get a new stadium say actually no, we want the old stuff.
Yeah, like and it's only really because of the experiences you had as well. Because at Old Trafford right now, I'm pretty sure a lot of United fans would actually be saying a similar thing to you, Dan, like we need a new stadium, even though they've got just as much right, if not more right, than Arsenal to say that they've got, there's real soul. It's a theatre of dreams. It's what everyone thinks of when you think of an English stadium. But now, it's so lagging behind. I do think, though, actually, with this whole new and old thing, if we look at America, and this isn't taking a leaf out of America's book, by the way, don't worry.
Okay. I was a bit worried then.
Yeah. Also, you don't really take leaves out of books. I don't know why I said that.
I'm going to butt my eyelid at you in a minute.
Anyway, so their concept for stadiums is basically, it is like you said, Dan, it's capacity. So they have huge stadiums. You can have like 100,000, 120,000 seater stadiums. It's all about capacity, and the ticket prices for, things like NFL and stuff, it's so expensive. It's the kind of prices where you would like probably save up for a year to go once.
Like a treat, like a real special
It's a real
occasion.
treat, yeah. You wouldn't have unless you're super rich, you wouldn't have season ticket holders. That's not the kind of thing they want. What they want is loads of people to come, and it doesn't matter if it's the same people. You just want loads of people to come,
Just
and they
fill
will
the
pay
seats.
loads of money. They make so much more money than football. It's all about an experience, and on the outside it's like a festival. You have halftime shows and stuff like that. And I think that's basically kind of what football is trying to go towards. The World Cup, they want to do a halftime show. There's more about
I don't like it.
an experience at the Spurs Stadium rather than just... Traditionally, it was just basically turn up at the stadium, watch, and then go.
Yeah, and that's what that's football. What they're doing is we're Americanizing football, and that's not like you say. That's not we don't want any leaves from their books or whatever it is you're talking about. So football's losing touch with itself. This is what I don't like it. So I am a traditionalist in that sense. I want to keep football soul together. So I'm going to talk a lot about soul today, apparently.
So are you saying that basically everyone
So-
changes their stadiums and makes loads of money and progresses, and you want to sit in Highbury and go, yeah, this is my soul?
Highbury was beautiful. I love Highbury.
God.
It was great. I had some special memories there.
I would wager that if you didn't have a new stadium and you were still stuck in Highbury now with a 38 capacity stadium, you would be saying it's not fit for purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with. He would not care about the history or the heritage. He'd be going, we need a new stadium. We need to progress. Yeah.
Not at all.
Equally as well, like was it you were saying, James, before this episode about there's a listed building area or something they weren't allowed to touch, or something like a modernist style,
Yeah,
like
they've
Art
they
Deco style
converted
bit or something.
Yeah, so Highbury is now converted into flats, so people actually live there. But the main front of the building, the east stand, was this Art Deco, really sort of classical building, which is listed, so they couldn't demolish it. It had the marble halls in there. Went in there once, saw the Premier League trophy. It was all beautiful.
So part of the building still remains. You've literally got the best of both worlds. You've
That's
got a new
actually
stadium,
true.
and you've got
Yeah.
you've got some of the old building that still stands.
That's so
as
true,
a
because
homage
you're
to
talking
the-
about the heritage.
to the history of the building.
Yeah, because you're talking about the history and the heritage, but you also want to progress. You need to marry those two together and have the best of both worlds, which you are having right now, and yet still, oh no, we've lost our soul. You've lost your soul because you haven't won the Premier League in 20 years. That's what it is.
since we were at Highbury, because Highbury was a
Yeah.
fortress.
As soon as you win, you'll be thinking, oh wow, this place is amazing.
It felt like, the dugouts are in amongst the fans. Pretty much the fans are right there breathing down your necks. The fans are close to the pitch. A bit like Goodison. I think it's a shame that Everton are moving to whatever their new stadium's going to be
Take it.
called.
It's the Everton Stadium.
Oh, is it?
Take
You
it
could have
from-
guessed it, yeah.
Oh, that's a very good name.
Take
Yeah.
you from a team that have been in their stadium for just too long. It doesn't stay a fortress forever.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Also, we don't like Roman Abramovich.
Yes.
He ruined
Yeah.
football in terms of like money-wise, didn't he, back
Yeah.
in 2003 or whatever? Because he started that off. Billionaires came in after that. Arsenal started
Yeah.
off the whole new stadium thing. So
Oh.
I think what we're actually
yeah.
saying is we should be hating Arsenal.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Well-
fact, I have a theory, guys. So, any new fans, young fans, the people that James teaches, for example, or anyone who's listening to this podcast and wants to know more about football and everything, I think between the three of us, Arsenal, Everton, and Man United fans that we are, Everton is the best team to start supporting now.
Is it?
Yeah, we got a new stadium, which is better than than Emirates or Old Trafford.
Is it?
Yeah, we all agree that.
Oh, right.
Let's not question it. Now, also, we're not pretentious. We don't think we should be better than we are, and look at our history and stuff like, and we're not a joke like Man United, basically. And when it comes to Arsenal, I think you'll agree with me, Dan. It's much easier to mock Arsenal than to support them.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'd agree with all those points.
Yeah.
What one thing I would say though, Cess, is this a glimpse of bias we're seeing from you?
Ooh,
I like
I wonder
that,
if it is.
Dan.
Well, I tried to use logic, but I suppose it could be a glimpse of bias. Yeah,
Bias does cloud
This is
logic.
a rare.
It really does.
it
This
does.
is a-
Well, try and
Yeah,
talk me
rare
down
moment.
from this biased perch, then.
Oh no, I have no intention of doing so.
Just leave me up here.
I would not recommend being a Manchester United fan to anybody. I am committed. I'm where I am, and that's what it is.
Yeah,
but I
you're
would
stuck
not
with
wish it upon my worst enemy.
I mean, Everton, they're in Liverpool, and no one really wants to go up there, do they? So everyone should support Arsenal. Does that work?
I mean, you guys haven't even got the best stadium in North London anymore.
No, yeah, we have. The Emirates is beautiful in a way.
All of a sudden, it's got so much soul in there.
I have to admit, when we first moved to the Emirates, it felt like it was alien. It just felt, obviously, there's going to be that trend. It's like moving to a new home, I suppose, in a sense of, you move to a new house and it's going to take a while for you to settle in. And like you say, it's built with memories, so you need to build those memories. But that's going to be one downside to moving stadiums. Is going to be that could be decades, before you start building that real soul and love for it. The memories and stuff. It's going to be a long time.
Yeah,
There's been
but
some great memories at the Emirates, but not. It doesn't
But
feel
you
the same
need
as
that
Highbury.
development at some time.
Yeah.
You need that development at some stage. You need that change at some stage.
Yeah,
You
which
can't
Arsenal
live
took
in,
the leap back then. That's
Arsenal have always been
and I think it was
kind
the
of-
right thing to do.
Yeah, Arsenal, like, traditionally have always been quite a forward. It was actually Arsenal manager who put, like, the names and numbers on shirts.
Why are
Herbert
we
Chapman.
talking about Arsenal?
Anyway, no.
This is
God,
why
this has
no one
really
should
gone
support
on
Arsenal.
a lot about Arsenal, hasn't it? Yeah,
But
yeah.
We didn't win anything for ages.
Of all of the teams that we can have a story related to a stadium about, big news across the country this
Yeah.
week, and we're talking about Arsenal.
Yeah. It's not
I mean,
the new
okay.
United Stadium or the already
No,
built
no.
Everton Stadium.
Or the
Fine.
Talking about the history of Arsenal. Yeah.
so
who built their stadium like 10 years ago? That's far more relevant.
Yeah.
Arsenal are looking at expanding the stadium. But anyway, moving past that then. So these new stadiums, one, they don't look as good in my opinion. I think you might say that's an aesthetics thing. I get that's in the eye of the beholder or whatever. But also I kind of want fans close to the pitch, like as in Highbury, Goodison Park. It's like a fortress. You go and play at Goodison, it feels like an intense atmosphere. Liverpool's the same. People think about the Kop as the most intense environment. Those fans are close to the pitch. It's almost like they're part of the action, and on the TV you can soak that up. Whereas these big stadiums, it feels like it loses a bit of that, where the fans aren't part of it anymore.
Well,
it's just something you watch, you're not part of.
I don't know.
One of the bits in the brief from the United Stadium actually is they've got quite steep banks because they want to keep in as much of the sound as possible.
Oh,
and the
taking a
atmosphere is
book
really
out of the
important
new
to
Everton
design.
Stadium. I see.
I was thinking it could be for like the cannonballs when they're firing like the human cannonballs up. They need,
probably.
They don't want
Yeah.
them going too far.
Yeah, they don't want the elephants to fall off the giant ball.
The
Oh,
giant
I
ball they're
see.
bouncing
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
I see. It's a tent joke.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
No, it's
a
I'm
circus
with you
joke.
now,
The new Everton Stadium is it's got the like legally the highest, the steepest bank, like 35 degree or something. So it genuinely is the steepest. It's kind of like
so
the yellow
so
wall.
it's not going to lose its atmosphere then, is it?
No, absolutely not. I'm
No.
all for
So-
it. I'm not
so
like
what's-
James. I'm
yeah,
not
so there's
stuck in the
no-
past.
Atmosphere
Yeah.
isn't just the number of people, though. It is the kind of how the stadium makes you feel in touch with what's happening on the pitch, like you're kicking every ball,
Yeah.
kind of thing. When you,
But
I've been to Wembley.
that's what we're
I've
saying.
been
We're
to,
saying is the
the
stadium
Emirates.
is being designed and built, and the architect has designed it to maintain that.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
suppose
absolutely.
time will
That's
tell.
what we're
but-
saying.
And we've seen, I've seen many games in, the Bernabeu, the Nou Camp. They're not close to the pitch, but it's still amazing.
West Ham, when they moved out of the Berlin ground.
Yeah, theirs is
Upton
bad.
Park.
Yeah,
They've
theirs
gone
is bad,
because
yeah.
they've taken the Olympic Stadium, haven't they? It's now become
Yeah,
West
so
Ham
there's a
Stadium.
track all the way around
And the
the
track that
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
that epitomises my hatred of these new stadiums. That's the worst of them because of the track and how fans are distant.
Yeah.
From
But they only did it because it was cheap, wasn't it? It's like a it's
yeah,
like a
exactly.
bargain,
That's
like
not
it's
actually the status of a new stadium, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So that's an
Yeah.
extreme version, but it does kind of epitomise the points I'm trying to make. It does lose that atmosphere.
Yeah, it is poor.
It's
Yeah.
It is also West Ham. They haven't got like the biggest. Do they even? I don't think they fill the stadium, do they?
I suppose that's
They
part of
probably
it.
I
don't
think-
have
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Man City have expanded their stadium
Way.
as well. Which,
Yeah, they want extra empty seats.
which
don't
yeah, they actually put extra seats in there, but they don't fill it anyway.
they? Yeah.
Just
That's fantastic.
You know those 10,000 seats that no one uses? Let's make them 20,000.
let's just make it bigger. But,
I reckon.
Yeah.
I reckon on the books they still sell out because I think that it's just a way of shoveling money. in.
It's just money laundering,
I-
yeah.
I am
Ah,
Wow, there's so many seats being
100%.
bought
They're
by
just
cash.
but there's no one
Yeah,
sat
there's
in
some-
them. Hold on.
Yeah.
Barcelona as well. They've expanded their stadium, haven't they?
Yeah.
That was always the biggest anyway, wasn't it? It was like 91,000 or something.
Something like that. I mean, just
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
Man
it's
United, I don't know where the money's coming from. Because
Yeah, I
I'm
thought they
pretty
were
sure they
skint,
had to
weren't they?
sell parts of their own club
Yeah.
in order to
Yeah.
fund. Like, they can't even afford the players that they bought as well, can they?
Just nothing. It always feels like
I
nothing
think,
to see here. Just don't look over here.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there is so obviously you can sell the like naming rights as well of the stadium, can't you?
Yeah.
So I am convinced that. So what is the Nou Camp? It's like the Spotify Nou Camp or something, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, they're sponsored by Spotify, I think.
Or
Yeah, you're right.
Spotify Camp Nou or something.
Yeah.
So I'm convinced that the United Stadium will have a huge naming deal to help fund it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Someone will
when they finish the
someone will
stadium,
pay silly money.
when they finish the stadium, will they call it the newer camp?
Well, the thing is, it was called the New Camp when we were at school, but then since then it's been called like the Camp Now, isn't it? They kind of reverse around.
But they can't use it now, so they have to call it camp later.
It's now the newer Camp Now
Yeah.
later, right?
In fact, it's been
Listen,
refurbished, isn't
no,
it? It's
camp-
still
camp-
the new camp, so it's the new camp.
Oh, is it now
No,
the new
Camp-
New Camp?
Now, yeah, but later.
Oh, right.
No.
That makes sense.
Camp Now becomes Camp Then, and then Camp in
Camp
the
New
future
is the
will become
new.
Camp.
Yeah.
Will still Camp Now.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, and you see the New Camp on the the Champions League games, or if you watch La Liga or whatever, and it's you kind of think, oh, that's pretty cool, but it doesn't have that. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's because you haven't had the experiences.
Oh,
That's
right.
why you think a tiny old place like Highbury is so amazing, because you had the experiences and you support that club.
I just think it doesn't look interesting. It doesn't look like it's got history. It doesn't look,
Oh, my God.
I don't know.
What?
And some
You
fans
saying
are
the
so.
Camp Nou doesn't have history.
Yeah, this is why James just
What?
does not have any
What?
argument in this.
No, in terms, I mean, like architectural history. In terms of, obviously Barcelona win things. I know that, but in terms of, it doesn't look like it's
Camp-
lived for a long time and that kind of stuff. Which is, you feel like you're going to watch something. So when I went to Highbury, it felt
The
like
Camp-
I'm standing in the space where people have stood for
Yeah.
like 100 years, and it just kind of felt like, wow, all the people that have different lifestyles and generations that have seen this.
See, this is people go on holiday to Barcelona and then have tours in the new camp or the later camp, as we now know it. Even if there's no
The
game
then
or
camp.
anything. My parents did that recently. My sister did that a little while ago. They don't do that for things like Emirates. That's the thing. They don't just go on a tour there unless you're an Arsenal fan that goes over there. Nou Camp is a massive historic arena, and
Yeah, huge.
especially for Barcelona fans.
Well, yeah, obviously Messi played there, so everyone wants to go there for that. But I would disagree. When I go down and watch Arsenal, when I see the tours and stuff, they're people from all over the world. So it is. I mean, these, especially the big six clubs, they attract fans from. Last time I did a tour around Emirates and Highbury and stuff like that, you see Asian fans coming over to Britain to come and see the stadiums and things like. It's beautiful to see it because it appeals to such a wide audience. But I just feel aesthetically the stadiums aren't as good to look at, and they're not as don't
A lot
feel
of them
like
are awesome, like the I can't remember
Yeah,
the Allianz
I like
Arena.
the designs.
like Bayern Munich's.
Yeah, that one was
Yeah.
amazing. I remember years ago we drove past it, and that looked so nice. I think you can.
Trust Cess to pick out the German stadium.
That's a good. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
He's on step 3 of becoming a German. Out of 5 steps, he's almost there, Dan.
But it is. I mean, that one stands out because the lights like change and everything outside, don't they?
I don't want that in a stadium.
Yeah, that's because you're a traditionalist and you go, oh, but that doesn't have soul.
Coops
Until
would
you
back
start
me.
winning.
Yeah.
Coops would agree with me.
What,
I think
Mr. Traditional?
I think we've
Yes.
just established that
Exactly.
James just hates change. We
Yeah,
just
that's
don't-
true. Yeah,
just don't
and we've
like
always
change.
said that. Yeah, just stay in the past, James. You know, with your little gold trophy, and go, oh,
Well, I was happy back then. Right, well, shall we get on to the fixes then?
oh yeah, good idea. I reckon, in terms of the fixes, it's not necessarily fixing the stadiums. I reckon we just need to fix James because
I was about to.
Yeah,
I was about to say that.
both Dan and I agree. We're all for the new stadiums. We've accepted it, and we know change needs to happen. Change is gonna happen anyway, so we might as well accept it. So it's more a matter of fixing James rather than actually fixing stadiums, because the stadiums they're doing the right thing.
Well, as Dan rightly said before the show, you're not really an Everton fan. You're just more of a football fan. You don't really care. So I think undermines your argument about you don't have a right to talk about Everton Stadium. And Dan's just trying to get out of a burning building because of Man United's dropping so far down now.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want anything that reminds him of it. So he just wants to move to a new place. So I think everyone else would agree with me.
I'm sad to see the end of Old Trafford because of at the moment the memory of winning is the closest thing we've got to winning. So
Yeah.
it is a sad thing, but it's just I'm looking forward to it being modern and updated and to stop hearing about how worn out and old it is. I mean,
True.
I've got a fix for James, James, and I think you might like this, James. What if everyone else had modern stadiums, but Arsenal rebuilt Highbury exactly as it was, and you just moved back in there?
Oh, that sounds nice.
Oh,
No, there is
maybe it'll bring back the soul.
It has the soul with it. Well, it wouldn't, because that's a thing. It's gone. We've lost it now.
Oh.
And it did feel like I love my club, obviously, but I
It's
don't
not
feel
gone.
the same.
It's still. We've established it's still half there. So
Yeah.
all you need to do is buy out the flats that were there and build around the Art Deco piece
Put the
that's
pitch
still
back.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a sad thing, and you do move on, and that's what memories are for, I suppose, isn't it? You can still treasure them, and I do. So, and on a serious note, there is a need to move to new stadiums. So we said about the financial ones,
Yeah.
but also for safety. I remember, I think I heard Arsene
Yeah.
Wenger reportedly saying eventually we have to move out of Highbury for health and safety reasons and things like that.
Because it's such a terrible football game. Yeah.
Martin Keown would be after you if you ever watch it. But yeah, in terms of the kind of setup and the number of people you get in these stadiums, so for health and safety laws, there was a real need to move on to a new stadium anyway. I remember that in the documentary when we were getting a new stadium. So that's a key reason too. So yeah, financially, and to try and keep us competing. If Arsenal are going to compete with the very top and in Champions League and that kind of stuff, we need that income. So sadly, you have to
that's
move
the thing,
with
isn't
the
it?
times.
Yeah, because everything, because of money, it goes exponential, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
because of the salaries, the wages.
But I see it as a necessary evil, and it is evil because everything you just said then about because they need to pay for this, and basically it's
Yeah.
not for football reasons; it's for financial reasons. That's because it's because of bad decisions. You said to fund managers that have been sacked. Well, that's bad decisions for hiring. All of this is on the back of poor club management, and it's not for football reasons, in
and
my
not just
opinion.
club management, but it's also become the football culture. It's just become accepted now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I do think that there would still be a need for the stadium regardless of the salaries of the players. I think the ticket prices would be a lot cheaper if it wasn't for the salaries of the players. But I do think, because the stadium is, like you say, more like these buildings are like 100 years old. It's health and safety. It's the reality of the building is old and you need a new one.
Yeah. And it's going to be places that it's not like a house where 3 or 4 people might go into it every now and again. These are stadiums where tens of thousands of people go into it week in, week out. That is going to be wear and tear like we wouldn't see in a normal building.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. From business side of things, it does make sense. Spurs, for example, they earn, like per match we're talking about, they're in £4.8 million they earn every single match day. because the thing is,
insane.
that's insane. I think Arsenal, this was last season, with 4.2 million. Arsenal looking at expanding their capacity as well. I mean, the amount of money that brings in, that can give you that competitive, to a business language, competitive advantage over other clubs. And it will keep that, when we fixed the Premier League, we had trying to find ways to break into that closed shop, the top sides. All these clubs are doing is trying to secure their place in that closed shop, if you like, to make sure they don't slip out like Man United have, and make sure that they can kind of compete with the top around the world. So I can kind of, from the business side, that is a football sense in that idea, if you like.
Nice. We've already fixed James.
So congratulations in that sense. I do see that side of it.
Oh, there we go.
Right, well, should we get into some fantasy football then? Where football still has its soul in this fantasy world.
Yeah.
In this fantasy world, are we all playing in the not the Emirates? Are we all playing at Highbury?
Yeah. In my mind, my fantasy football team, they play at Highbury. So, well, there's not going to be any John's Juicy Tips this week, guys, because it's FA Cup next week or something. Oh no, it's international. Yeah, international break, isn't it? It's the first one this year, calendar year.
I had an absolute howler because I tried to use the free hit like everyone else, but for some reason it didn't work, and so it's deducted like 24 points from my. I don't know if that's. We did this last year where we just decided I'd add 24 points back on, and I just wouldn't use the free hit. But I don't know if you guys will accept that.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to ask everyone in the league. We've got 45 people in the league. We're going to have to say, just so you know, Cess has made another howler. Do you mind if we give him 20 points? Well, two seasons in a row.
I know, it's so annoying. But I'll be fine not putting those points back on, because I think I'm like 100 points ahead of you guys. So, yeah.
Oh, hey, I'm breathing down Dan's neck, and I'll soon be on yours by the sounds of it, if you keep making howlers like that.
Yeah.
I'm up to 29th.
Wow.
I'm on, so we're
into the 20s.
You're literally one behind me, aren't you?
And this is, I've just moved.
I've moved up a few. Sorry.
We've got Sam and John fighting it out, top two still.
Yeah.
It is close though. They're both in the same 100 in terms of points, so 1,900. They're both in there. Okay. John's on 1,911 and Sam's on 1,973. Cool. So it's getting quite close there, to be honest.
Yeah. Come on, John.
Our guru, who's got to beat
Juicy.
Sam. Right, well, there we are then, chaps. So it's all good for new stadiums then, is it? We're happy with...
Well, yeah, Dan and I are happy. And
yeah, very happy.
Yeah, I think we've changed you.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Well, if there's going to be new stadiums, the stadiums need to look good.
Everton Stadium.
They need to have a great atmosphere.
Everton Stadium.
And they need to put the fans first. It's not about money and paying for concerts and everything else. It should be about this for the fans.
Oh, so traditionalist. Just move on with the times.
Maybe when we start winning titles and stuff again.
All of a sudden.
I love this stadium. I do love the Emirates, to be fair. And when we expand it even more, that'd be great.
Well, after all this time, and you just come out with, I do love the Emirates.
But I miss Highbury. Do you remember I've still got the Highbury statue thing? It's so beautiful in itself.
God.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you're with me, you're a traditionalist, and you prefer football how it used to be, then
keep it to yourselves.
Then let us know.
If you prefer.
Well, it just remains for me to say, really. Goodbye from me. Have a great week.
Goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.